Don Lemon, Tucker Carlson, possibly a show together. I don't know, but they're texting each other according to a new report. Let's put up the picture full mass here. I have an interesting story to tell you. Let me first start with the obvious. This would probably do very well as far as ratings. The challenge is everyone knows Tucker Carlson does not believe what he says. Don Lemon does, but Tucker Carlson does not. All right. So could a blossoming kinship forged in the fire of unceremonious dismissals on the same day be developing between Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon? Maybe. That's one of the big takeaways from Brian Stelter. Let's put him up, who reports for Vanity Fair. Now, remember, Brian is a former CNN host. So he reports for Vanity Fair now, and he has reported that the two men, in addition to retaining the same entertainment lawyer, have reportedly exchanged several text messages in the last few days. The content of those messages, not yet known. Let's keep his picture up. Brian was actually at the same party as Don Lemon on Friday night. I know this because I was there. Don Lemon walked in, the CNN CEO was in that building too. Don Lemon walked in like he was the CEO of CNN, okay? There were words exchanged with Brian Stelter, myself personally, everyone who Don talked with was in front of everybody in the crowd, all right? It was a party. So all of a sudden, I get tagged on social media because of this, okay? Brian Stelter, with his roughly 800,000 followers, took a picture of Don Lemon, myself, and one other person. We were actually engaged in conversation about the show. Don Lemon, by the way, says he loves this show, continue to do the good work, etc. We exchanged pleasantries. And Brian Stelter tweeted, lots of media parties in D.C. tonight for the White House Correspondents' Dinner weekend, and lots of buzz about Don Lemon's appearance at the UTA party. So let's highlight some of these dynamics. On Fox News, Carlson intentionally mispronounces the name of Don Lemon. He calls him Lemon, all right? He's been doing this for years. Sneered at Lemon's comments about being a black man in America and labeled Don Lemon a guy who makes millions of dollars a year from presiding over a show that's failing. Just about 2 months ago, Carlson called Lemon dumb and kind of crazy. So let me just say this. I'm not antithetical to these gentlemen working out whatever type of show they choose to, if that's even on the table, all right? But I will say this. That needs to be the first thing we address on show one. All this trash talking you have done over the years. I doubt Tucker Carlson wants to have that conversation. There's more, all right? So Don Lemon, interesting. So as Stelter notes in his article, in his report, Carlson and Lemon have bashed one another on the air. Carlson has intentionally mispronounced the name. And also, Lemon once called Carlson's claim that white supremacy is a hoax one of the dumbest things he has ever heard. Wow. Okay, who saw that coming? Okay, who saw that coming? Now, there are shows that were at least moderately successful that dealt with push and pull. The entire show was based around debate rather than simply being an echo chamber. That's why I work really hard to make sure I have opposing views in the bullpen, because I think it's important for the conversation and for you. All right, we'll see what happens. Rickey Smiley, dear brother, you've been a major famous Hollywood guy for a while. All right, is this just buzz? Because you know good and damn well, Brian got permission to write that article. He was given the wink and the nod. Is this something or just publicity?
You know what, Dr. Richey, I actually, first of all, let me shout out Roy Wood Jr. That's from Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
That's NTs. We come from the same radio station.
Nice.
Good job, by the way. But man, I would definitely put up the money to have that show, because you get Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon on or whatever, I think you would kind of cool off a lot of rhetoric. Don Lemon bases stuff off of facts or whatever, and so now I think it'll bring like a balance, so to speak. Because if you get on there with Don Lemon, with Tucker Carlson and Don Lemon, and they have a show together, I think Don Lemon could articulate a lot of viewpoints that us have from the civil rights movement and us from the left or whatever. And Don Lemon will hold Tucker Carlson accountable to some of his dismissiveness of some of the things that people like myself and yourself go through, just being a black man. And and he's a part of the LGBT community or whatever. And I think it'll just kind of put a lot of fire, bring the fire down some, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. That could be. I've debated Tucker Carlson multiple times. I think he is not a good faith debater. I think he gaslights and typically doesn't believe what he says. But he can be entertaining, obviously, to those on the right in particular. We'll follow this, see if it develops into something.